Alright, Priest time is here! We are going very in-depth today on the Priest, all three of his weapons, how I play each of them, and why they are different from one another. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to go over a couple things on the Priest outside of game, so you have a better understanding of these things when in the game. One of the most basic things to know about the class is called Penitence. Penitence actually builds up the more you deal holy damage to something with your skills and attacks. Once Penitence builds all the way up, it procs, and what it does is it heals you for 10% of the damage that you deal, and it also gives you an increased crit strike depending on which traits you have unlocked. At level 20, again, you'll unlock all of them, but like here you can see this one gives you 10 energy whenever you critically hit somebody that has Penitence on them. Evading Light is a really good one as well. This lets you generate 10 energy when you evade attack into somebody. Ascend is a really good one. This lets you jump really high at the cost of some stamina. This is a really good getaway for a lot of people. By jumping and then just hitting your evade attack, it kind of whooshes you into the sky and gets you out of any immediate danger. This one is like a double-edged sword. You want to be careful. If you're facing somebody like a hunter, this is going to allow them to hit you out of the sky and then you fall and take all that drop damage. So definitely pay attention when you're going to use your Ascend. It can be a really good getaway, and it could also be the reason you lose a fight via stamming out too fast or getting hit out of the sky. So definitely learn the basics around using Ascend as you're playing around. You'll figure out which ones hurt and which ones don't. Spirit Shout. This is probably one of your biggest defensive abilities in the game. This is where you hold your right click on any of these weapons for a long period of time, and you'll hear like a ding noise, and your block will actually stay on you, and you no longer have to hold the block. You still lose the block pips, and when they hit 0, it actually does not stun you, but it's essentially just making you immortal for damage until they can break this block. It's very strong. This is probably one of the very first things that you're going to want to get if you're leveling up your Priest. Another one is Holy Sparks. So Holy Sparks is a really important thing to know, and there's not a lot of information on it. What Holy Sparks do is they give you a 10% stacking buff up to 3 times that lasts for 30 seconds. Every time you pick a new one up, that 30 seconds restarts. So you can get additional 30% damage. However, this doesn't really tell you how to spawn the Holy Sparks well, but the way that you can spawn Holy Sparks is by exploding any of your star abilities inside a Heaven's Fury rune. So that Heaven's Fury ability that has those runes on the ground, you put a spark or a star in there, blow up that star, and then it immediately will create a Holy Spark somewhere around you. Another way to do it is by using a scepter called the Beacon of Hope, which its specialty is if you hit 3 of your charged attacks on somebody, it will spawn a spark. Playing around these sparks is really good because they also silence your enemies, so you can use them offensively and defensively. Learning how to use your Holy Sparks is really important. I mean, outside of that, Starburst. This is so when those stars actually blow up inside of your Heaven's Fury, it guarantees a crit. This is one of the signature abilities that a Priest has in PvP that does a ton of damage. And you'll see on most of the weapons that I'm using, I'm always working around hitting this combo. A Heaven's Fury into a Star Explosion. It is the pinnacle of the damage that you can do as a Priest. Let's see. Outside of that, there really isn't much else on the traits that are super important to know. But knowing those specific things are going to help you quite a bit as far as traits go. So that being said, the skills I talked about in the last video as well, but I'll just double back on them real quick. Guided Star, Heaven's Fury. That is the answer to every weapon right now. Guided Star, Heaven's Fury. There's no reason to use anything else. With that said, let's jump into each individual weapon and break it down for you. Alright, so I just got done telling you Heaven's Fury only, and I'm going to make one exception to this, and the exception's going to be on your sword and shield. which is what we're going to talk about first. Now, the only reason it's acceptable on Sword and Shield right now is because it very much takes advantage of people who don't know how to deal with it. It is one of the gatekeeping models of the game right now that separates beginner players into intermediate players. For instance, you can't do anything, you can't jump, or anything in that combination until it's over, and then it explodes out here and to an AoE stun. That AoE stun is very dodgeable, it's very avoidable, and you're a entire skill down from progressing the fight more. However, in a Sword and Shield, when you have so much utility to get in the fight, maintain a stagger in a fight, it sometimes makes it okay to use this Heaven's Ward ability because you don't rely on a Heaven's Fury as much depending on how you play. So that is one style of playing the sword. The other style is more like a staff. I'll talk about both of them. I have an example for both of them as well to show you, but there are some basic things about the sword you should know before starting. Step 1. You see a target, you're trying to get into a fight. You'll see in every clip that I have, I always do the exact same thing before initiating a fight. I hold my right click, and I wait until my shell pops. Every fight, all the time. It is usually the first thing that I do, because this is, again, something that allows me to take punish damage while getting inside of the fight. So, this is going to be on every weapon. The first thing that I'm going to do every time is proc this shell, right? Okay. The second thing to know about a sword is your attacks stagger. All 5 of those attacks stagger the target. And when they're staggered, they're unable to attack back. They're unable to cast a spell. The only thing that they can do is evade out of the stagger and try to restart a new chain of stagger on you. So it's a very fencing style of play the way that the stagger does. A couple little combos here that you have to take advantage of while using a sword and shield. The first one is your left attack. If you hold it into a charged attack there, you'll see that that circle in the center shrunk, and then if I let go, throws a beam out. This is considered your heavy attack with your sword. Now, another way to get a heavy attack out very quickly is by dodging twice and then auto-attacking. And it's an immediate full stun, or an immediate full heavy. And as you can see, if you use the Star and Moon Sword, which is kind of the meta right now, it's because of what the passive does on this, where Crescent Beam slows your target for a period. This charge attack is considered Crescent Beam, right? So you can double dash into throwing a Crescent Beam to slow them down if you're chasing. Bada bing, bada boom. Now, if you just do one evade attack, it'll actually be an ability that closes a little bit of distance. You can see that it kind of pierces in. So that specific attack does not stagger. However, the follow-up one does. So you have the first one, second one. And that second one will actually start a stagger chain. So another combo is if you're trying to chase somebody down and they're just right out of your grasp, dash once into that, and then the stagger chain right after. So another little combo that takes advantage of the guided star is if you're in a stagger combo and you attack 4 times, what you can do is throw a star immediately and then evade backwards into a lunge forward. I'll show you what that looks like right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, guided, evade, evade back, stagger again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Throw the ball, then evade, stagger back into it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Throw the ball, evade, dash back into it, stagger again. So this combo works really well if you can catch them in a position to where you can just kind of abuse them. The other one that I really like, and this is less of the aggressive style on the Heaven's Ward, more of like the staff style, is if you're running Heaven's Fury, you can drop a Heaven's Fury on a target and then run and jump with your Sword's Q ability, which this is what your Sword's Q ability is. It comes and does a AoE damage to the targets around you. And it's really hard to hit unless they're already stunned. So if you know you're going to hit a stun with the Heaven's Fury, you just kind of follow up with it by jumping in there and hitting your Q while in the middle of the air. So you'll stay moving forward with it. It'll land on the ground and deal a bunch of AoE damage. Alright, and then the last kind of thing I'm going to show you here as far as combo goes for the sword is a gap closing mechanism that helps you not only close a gap but also slow your target. And it's if you use that charge beam like I was talking about earlier, notice how every time I do it I kind of have this instinct of jumping. The reason being is if I ever catch an opportunity to hit one, I can auto attack if I'm in the air, and it dashes me straight down into a double attack combo. And if you can ever hit your initial charge beam with it, this closes the gap extremely well, and it also slows them if you're using this stun and moon. So now you're just keeping your target essentially permanently slowed, and you're chasing them down between evade attacks, as well as jump attacks, as well as slows. And then you look for the moment to hit a really nice Heaven's Fury into a star and just combo out with the sword as much as you possibly can. Alright, we're going to hop into some gameplay footage, and I'm going to kind of commentate through it, what I'm doing as it's going along, so you kind of have an understanding of what my thought process is. So first thing I do, starting every fight, is pop my shield. I hit him with a very hard opening, forcing him to double dash away, to where I double dash after him using the combo that slows him, and I end up stamming myself out in the process of stamming him out, so now I can just sit here and abuse him with Heaven's Furies, and I have my shield so that I can just keep blocking all of his damage when he's after me. Inevitably, I get my stamina back, I go for a distance Heaven Fury, and you'll see I do the jump attack to slow him. He has to stam away. I do a double evade into slowing him again. I catch him trying to run back down the stairs. I hit him with the Heaven's Fury. He dodges into a corner, and I jump attack him to death. So this is a good example of just pressuring until they bleed out, essentially. I was on him every step of the way. He never even had an opportunity to attack me because I was just so constantly all over him. So this is a good use of the sword playstyle. So this fight actually is relatively quick, but the theory in it is the same. I start with my shield, and then he goes to dash into me, and I find every opportunity to stay in his face while Heaven Ward is active, and try to get it to proc on top of him, which it does. And now because I have my shell over me, any of his auto attacks that normally would stagger, makes it so that he's unable to, and I could just kind of chase him down and take all the damage in the world. And again, you'll see the concept of I just smother the opponent. If I smell that there's blood in the water, I will just keep going back in at him. And because I wasn't getting forced out by taking damage of any kind, it just gives me so much freedom to constantly keep going in. And as a priest, one of the strong suits that you have, again, is the shell. It allows you with the sword and shield to really take advantage of being in somebody's face you normally wouldn't want to be. And as you can see, it's just a whittled down situation after that. So this clip I'm putting in here because it shows actually quite a bit of combos that I like to use with the Heaven's Fury. Obviously before every fight starts, you'll always see me proc my shield, and then I go up and try to get into his face, and I just a little too far into the ground, so it kind of puts a reset. But as soon as I get the opportunity, I go right back into my default, which is smother, get in your face. You'll see some evade attacks in here that I talked about. I think he's going to run off the edge, so I go for a Heaven's Fury, but it actually ends up not going off the edge, so I just kind of stun him while he's there. And then you'll see I use this combo with my star, where even though there's no Heaven's Fury on the ground, I will immediately proc the star right in his face because it's unexpected. It's really hard for him to expect me to do that, and then as you can see, to follow up on that was to throw my Heaven's Fury at him again, and then I jump into him with my Q. So this clip was fast, but again, if you do all the combo right, it just kind of ends very quickly. So up to this point, you've just seen me kind of rolling on people as far as just suffocating them. Here is an instance where that just doesn't work, and that's when you're fighting a class like a warrior where, honestly, their ability and desire to be in your face to crush you is way better than yours. So really the goal is to constantly keep just enough away from them, or make sure you have your shield up when you try to engage them, or else they're just going to kind of start beating you up. Notice how if he ever gets too close to me, the first thing in my brain is run away, run away, run away. It's because you never really want to be in the face of a warrior, even as a priest. But I find my opportunities that make sense to get in there. Like, you see the evade attacks trying to start a stagger. I'm looking for a Heaven's Fury. He knocked me down when I did it, but he came for an attack and I threw the star anyways. And now I know that there's a little bit of blood in the water and he hasn't healed. So really, the aggression is just starting. So now that I know that he's in trouble, I'm going to try my best to avoid taking too much damage while constantly keep him in a position of right out of my reach. And eventually, as you can see, he keeps aggressing too many times when he shouldn't, and I'm able just to eventually run him down, whittle him out, throw some heavies in there, scare him into the range, and eventually I hit him with a final attack here. Alright, so that is your breakdown of the sword. There is a lot more that you could really go in depth about it. It is impossible for me to fit it all into one video, but this is going to give you a really good head start on a little bit more of an advanced style of PvPing with the weapon, and kind of stop thinking so much of like checkers and more of chess. The next one we're going to talk about is the Scepter and Staff. I think both of those weapons actually have a little bit of a higher skill cap than the sword right now. However, the sword is very good when you're just learning, and I feel like once you get really good on the sword, if it doesn't feel like it's just fitting right, you can always try the Staff or the Scepter. They have different play styles that work better for some, and others stick to the sword forever and like it better. Alright, so the next one we're going to talk about here is the Staff, and now we're right back on the train of Heaven's Fury only. There really is no reason to ever use the Heaven's Ward on these, and now we are back to exclusive. When ranking in terms of Staff versus Scepter, I would say in progression, the Scepter should be the Staff, should be the one that you try to learn second. The reason being is the Staff is overall just a little bit more simple than the Scepter. And they're similar in most ways. You could just do a little bit more with the Scepter, which we'll go into next. But when starting to play the Staff, the different playstyle from the sword no longer exists. Now you are essentially a kiting nuke. You just want to constantly dance around somebody so that they can't hit you, and you want to land Heaven's Furies into star combos, and that's essentially what you're going to do. And the reason why the Staff does that really well is because each one of these beams that I'm throwing out on this specific staff, called the Glowing Sanctum, it gives you mana when you hit a target. So I can spam my abilities a lot more with my staff as long as I'm hitting these auto attacks. They do tend to be a little bit difficult to hit, but as you can see, the further they go, a little bit more range that they get, and even like tapping them with it is going to make a big difference in a fight if you can get one or two of them off, is in terms of how many Heaven's Furies and star combos that you can make. So again, as you'll see in these videos following that we'll go over, a lot of the playstyle is going to be that very passive, the very stay safe. I'll use different elevation so somebody like a melee character can't get to me. I pop my shield with every single one, as I always mention. It is one of the most important things to your kit, is to always have that shell popped. And yeah, let's get into some clips to show you a little bit more. Other thing too is, like, if you are getting swarmed, if you hold your right click, you can kind of auto attack. The staff, or push them back. The staff isn't as in depth as the sword and shield goes as far as play style, in terms of there's no like special evade attacks, there's no like special jump attacks. Your charge attack is really worthless. I would never recommend using it. It's really just a weapon that allows you to hit really hard Heaven's Furies and really hard guided stars, and you just want to kite around forever after that. That's essentially how you play the staff. Auto attack where you can, hit a bunch of Heaven's Furies, nuke them with stars. Let's get into some videos so you can kind of see how that plays out. Alright, so first thing you're going to notice is my shield's obviously popped, and I'm fighting another warrior, and this time instead of ever really trying to get into his face, you're going to constantly see me using a backpedal method here. I'm not really interested in fighting a warrior straight to his face, at least not intentionally. I'm going to make him work for it. So he spends a lot of resources to get up on me, and then tethers me down. And as you can see, I'm just walking around him. Like, I don't really need to waste anything here if he's not going to hit me. And I just keep dancing around him, even though I'm in his face. I'm always just making sure I'm safe until inevitably I'm able to hit that Heaven's Fury, get a couple auto attacks off on him, and you can see I'm looking for another Heaven's Fury. I heal mid-fight, which is actually a misclick, but I'm constantly just looking for these big Heaven's Furies, hit him with a couple more auto attacks. That chip damage is starting to make a big difference. He's not been very effective yet at getting inside. I'm just hitting him with all these auto attacks for free. He stands out in front of me, and he just takes free damage until he inevitably goes down. Never stand out in front of a priest. Alright, so in this clip you're going to see we're fighting another warrior. He actually starts the fight by pinning me to the ground, and I'm kind of just up in the air here. I try to throw a ball, it doesn't work really well, but eventually when I fall down, I'm now in the face of a Titan, and that's the last place you want to be. I don't panic, I don't spam a bunch of stamina, I just kind of assess the situation, and then I walk myself out, and as you'll see here, now that I kind of have got myself free, I'm just pushing him back and forth to waste his energies and his stamina on me, and I'm just going to keep walking back and forth through this door. He finally breaks my shield, but this is a really good example of like how kiting is just the best way about playing the staff. He uses that ability pretty far away. It allows me to just kind of kite him through it. He doesn't take advantage of much. I think he goes back in the door, and I place my Heaven's Fury there, and inevitably it misses. But now he's really starting to feel the pain from all this chip, so he's going to start running away. And I'm going to do my best to chase. I actually kind of get lucky here. The hook gets stuck on a rock, and he just kind of tries to run away. And he's using this tether effectively. It makes it so I can't really chase him here after hitting that big stun. He goes to reset, and one of the nice things about a priest in general, when you have a staff or a scepter, you always have your Q ability, which the longer you hold it, the more it heals you. I get to heal myself right back up while he's using all this time to slowly heal back up. I proc my shield, and I continue with the whole game plan. Dodge him into a really nice Heaven's Fury shield pop. I keep dodging away from him. He's wasting a lot of resources, and I just keep chipping away, trying to make sure that my positioning is always okay. Alright, so as you can see, the staff is really hard to go a lot in depth with, just because there isn't so much out there as far as like tips and tricks that I can tell you to get better with it. It's more of an experience play style that you just have to play with the mindset of how to play it more. I will say, in the stepping stone of the weapons, the staff is the one where I think you should spend the most time on really learning Heaven's Fury, which I didn't go in depth with yet, which I should now. There's 3 different Heaven Furies. There's a single tap Heaven's Fury that is going to like track your opponent. It'll stick on them, so if they run, the only way they can get out of it is by evading. And then there's actually like this hold version where I can choose where it goes for it to pop down, instead of it just being directly on them. But as you can see, it's still at the same like explode time. And then there's a long hold where once you get the timing of this down, it allows you to put a Heaven's Fury down pretty quickly in comparison, right? So you can use the staff as an opportunity to really hone your skills on the best ways to use your Heaven Fury. Because once you have the ability to stun your opponent really well and take advantage of these combos on a staff, I would say you're ready to start leaning more into like the higher skill cap weapon, which is the Scepter. And I'm going to go in Scepter a little bit more in detail than I did with Staff, which will explain to you why Scepter over Staff is kind of the meta, I guess. Alright, and now we're going to talk about the Mac Daddy of the Priest weapons, in my opinion. As far as this patch goes, it is the Scepter. Now, the reason I like Scepter is because it has a little bit more defensive play than the Staff, because you can actually, while holding shield, still heal yourself. So as long as you have shield pips, which the Staff only has 3, I'm sorry, the Scepter only has 3 compared to the Staff's 4, and the Shield's 8, but if you have these up, you are immortal to taking damage, and you're able to heal yourself. That comes quite in handy often. There's also the auto-aim aspect of it, where in a fight, you don't have to worry so much about targeting them, your weapon's going to do it for you. So the chip damage over the Staff is much higher. It does not hit quite as hard with its Heaven Furies and its star combos, overall, because the weapon just doesn't do as much holy damage. But because of how much chip damage you get from just auto-attacking, it definitely overtakes it for sure. Another reason is the staff itself has a usable charge attack, which also auto-aims, and it'll throw 3 powerful charged scepter bursts, and it almost does like complete double damage. So I think in greens an auto attack is like 75 damage, and then 1 charged auto is 141. So it's 75, 75, 75, and then a full charge will lead you with 141, 141, 141. This weapon is really good at making your opponent use stamina as well compared to the staff. There's also some really neat movement tech with the weapon. I made a clip earlier on stream that I think I'm going to throw in the video just to explain it. It does actually work with the staff as well. It just doesn't have as smooth of a play style with it, but it's definitely doable on the staff, and you can practice it on that weapon as well. But I'm going to throw that clip in here right now so you can take a look at that. Scepter itself does have a sprint attack, and if you're running and you're full speed, you just left click, it'll perform that nice little straight dash. I'm gonna have to deal with this, aren't I? Hey, can you leave me alone? I'm making a video. Is that better? Can we just not do that? Thanks, bro. Appreciate you. The other thing that you can do is if you're at a full speed and you jump, it gives you a little bit more distance on it. So that extra little bit of distance you get when jumping is movement, and then if you can put your weapon away and then evade at the same time, it actually gets you a little bit further. So if I jump, evade, and put my weapon away, I lose no momentum at the end of it, and I can keep running fast. And you'll see in a lot of these fights that I'm having, I'll use it like off of a ledge, right? Where I'll come up, and then I'll look for a Heaven's Fury below me, because the movement is a little bit faster, and my pathing is a little bit better than the people that I'm chasing. But the ticket of the movement is, notice how if I was running and I just tried to put my weapon away, you see how there's that slow walk at the end of it? So if you do it, put the weapon away and evade once, you keep your momentum. But that's a dangerous technique when chasing somebody because you run out of stamina faster. So I'm actually really excited to put this clip in the video. I wanted to show you guys a moment where I actually played really bad, and because I played bad, it put me in a very precarious situation, forcing me to play a little bit safer, like I'm sure a lot of you end up having to do while playing, because the move is not there. I have a terrible opening, and I keep missing all of my stuns. He's kiting me well and absolutely punishing all of my mistakes. And there's a couple moments in this fight that I probably should have died, but as you can see, I'm really using my ability to kite, run around trees, and heal a lot. I'm just looking for a breath of fresh air. I'm looking for something that is going to show me that I can win this fight. I thought that was that, but as you can see, I over-aggress, and I literally almost died for it. One mistake could be the difference in winning or losing a fight. I got lucky this time. I had to stam out to get away, and as you can see, I'm just running around this tree, trying to heal up as much as I can, because if he just keeps poking me over time, I'm gonna lose. Again, I'm just throwing out some things, Hail Marys here. I'm kind of sweating, actually. He's doing a good job keeping everything on me, and the playstyle that I want to show you and why I like this clip so much is because this entire time you see me play nothing but defensively, and you can see that the whole time I'm playing, I'm looking for this magic moment. And that's the magic moment. I am now going to switch immediately in my game style to immediately aggressive. I know he's hurting and he took a lot of damage there at one moment, And I'm no longer on the defensive, and I'm just trying to pressure him so he has no opportunity to get away.
You got me.
Alright, and then this last clip actually happened directly after that fight, and I wanted to throw this in there because this really shows you the difference between having the ability to chase with a scepter versus a staff. And as you can see, I'm just kind of constantly looking for these auto attacks if he's close enough, and then I'm putting the weapon away and I'm looking for these charged attack movement speed techs so that I can use my Heaven's Fury and kind of stun him. It's a pretty drawn out fight, but I'm just going to leave it play here for you guys so that you can kind of see what a chase looks like when you're a priest. Alright, so that is pretty much it for all of the weapons on the priest and a little bit more detailed understanding of how they work in PvP scenarios and how I play each of them. One thing that I will tell you while making these videos is all of the information that you get from them is going to be used and valuable in some way, but there is no substitution for actual live experience. Don't be afraid to go into Goldbrook and mess around and fight people. It's not going to give you a real world experience of fighting in like Greenwood, or, for instance, but it is a really good place to start. One of the things that a lot of people ask me when I'm streaming is, you know, why I'm having so much time fighting this or so much time fighting that on a priest. And usually what it comes down to that I've noticed is if you're dying a lot on a priest, it's because you're not being patient enough. You're over-aggressing instead of playing a little bit more finessey. You are a nuke, and you do hit hard, but you're not really supposed to ever be too close to anyone unless you're using that sword and shield build. The priest has a lot of depth to it. It's really hard to fit all the information into one video, and there's probably hundreds of things that I missed. If you guys want me to start making smaller bite-sized videos of each class, I can. Or if you prefer these long forms like this, let me know. I would really appreciate the feedback on that. I'm trying to obviously get as much content to you guys as I can, but I don't want it to feel overwhelming. So if it feels like a video of this length is too much, let me know. If it feels like it's okay, I'm going to proceed as normal. If you have more questions about the priest specifically, I always respond to everything I can in the comment section. I think I'm at 100% on response rate, to be honest. Or also on my Twitch. I'm live every day during the week, Monday through Friday. The Twitch is my house name as well as my character's name here. If the video helped you at all and you want to see more of the other classes as well, drop me a like and a follow. I have like 3 hours of Legacy specific content right now and much more to come as well with it. Thank you guys again for the time you spent watching my video. I appreciate it very much. Thanks for coming to the stream as well. You guys are awesome. The support's been amazing. I'll see you guys on the next one, okay?